Hey, everybody, welcome. I'm Natalie. This is Scientology, Life After a Cult. Scientology has more than one Grinch at their Hollywood Winter Wonderland and Scientology Audit Streets, LA. William Gude, Dan Walks, LA, they captured it. Aaron Smith-Levin shared how David Miscavige, Scientology's leader, actually goes about micromanaging, his micromanaging secrets. We're going to get into that. And Jenna Miscavige exposes the abuse she suffered due to her last name. That and so much more to get into today. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Huge thank you to the moderators for your help. And everybody in the live chat, I love seeing you here. Thank you. Aloha to all of you. And special thanks to the members for showing up and all your support as well. Aloha, y'all. Hey, Mama Opal. That's right. Aloha, y'all. I love that, Kathy. I love that. Okay, so we are going to get into the Winter Wonderland Grinch. But before we do that, we've got a couple other things to look at quick. And one of them, if you guys are not following Parodytology, Parodytology does these amazing 3D printings, but while doing so, has the little sign up letting people know what's what when it comes to Scientology. Check this out. This thing is making a scorpion. You guys are going to be, I'll apologize in advance because if you're like me, you're going to get addicted to watching this. There's something about the 3D printing that's just so cool. It's almost like power washing, but 10 times better. But you see, got the little sign there. Scientology is a dangerous human trafficking cult that abuses their children and elderly, asking people to Google it, sharing some great hashtags, kids cannot consent, and no more kids in Scientology, and the website for SPTV.SPACE. So super cool. Thank you, Parodytology, for doing that. And there are a bunch of videos of Parodytology making all kinds of 3D printed things. I was getting into it. Let me tell you, I was getting into it. Now let's talk about Ohio. I think it's Darth Beaver, correct me in the chat if I'm getting it wrong, who is out there and asking people to join for a Scientology protest in Ohio. Why? Because Scientology Ohio is taking a page out of Scientology Hollywood's book, trying to do the whole getting into the holidays so as to recruit people into Scientology. Here's their Eventbrite. I'm going to link everything down below after this video. Visit with Santa, free community event, Saturday, December 7th, 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And that's going to be at the Church of Scientology, Central Ohio, which there's a whole map and everything, so you can find it. What are they going to have? A magical visit with Santa. Okay. Free community event filled with festive fun and holiday cheer. Meet Santa Claus himself. Take photos. Enjoy exciting activities for the whole family, which include multiple bouncy houses, arts and crafts, cookie decorating, and more. Don't miss out. Blah, blah, blah. We can't wait to see you there. Okay, what is it with Scientology and the bouncy houses? Is it, I don't know. It just seems like every event they have, they're promoting this bouncy house. I find it a little weird, a little odd, but what are your thoughts? You guys tell me. What do you think that is? I would love to hear what you think. Why is Scientology always doing the bouncy house at these events? They do it in LA. Now they're doing it in Ohio. It just seems like a bit much here. And also something else you guys want to put on your calendar. Dusty Soda Dispenser sharing, good morning from Coldwater. We're having a Lisa McPherson Memorial on Thursday. 29 years, never forget. We will be live at the Brick. So Lisa McPherson has a memorial brick, and in Clearwater, they're going to go do that. That's awesome. So that, again, is this Thursday. Dusty, what time? What time are y'all doing that? Or at least about, do you kind of know the window of time? Throw that into the chat. Nancy, if you see it, can you start so I make sure I go back to that? Thank you much. Thank you much. So yeah, if you're in the Ohio area, go look up Darth Beaver there because I think they're going to check it out. Cubana Chica, what's wrong with Santa's beard? It was a strap-on. It was a strap-on Santa's beard. You know, you could see the strap like right there. Very Temu. Temu Santa. That's what that was. Antics of a Mama Squirrel says, bounce the Thetans up. Could that be why they have the bounce houses? Just to do some Thetan bounces? I don't know. Hey, SPTV Never Ends in Artology, Kelly. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. Okay, remember the other day I was telling you guys I've been waiting for the press release of the holiday lighting that Scientology did? Was it last days? One blends into the other. Scientology on L1 Hubbard Way did their holiday lighting festival, of course, complete with bouncy houses and some ice skating and whatnot. And I've been waiting for Scientology to come out with their press release because they tend to be kind of funny in how they describe the event. It's almost like, you know, how Scientology sees an event. Like sometimes I'm like, do they believe their own BS? And sometimes I think they do, and sometimes I think they don't. But let's get into this press release just for a little bit of fun and see how Scientology is presenting that Hollywood lighting, that holiday lighting that they had. They're saying that honored guests flipped the switch, 180,000 lights on L1 Hubbard Way. So this is a photo from the event, and we saw some footage of that. There's the carriage that had Santa in it that apparently went down L. Ron Hubbard Way. They're saying 1,200. It snowed in East Hollywood on Sunday, November 24th, as more than 1,200 gathered at the Cult of Scientology Los Angeles. Now, it doesn't say cult, but you guys know me. I can only say church like a couple times, and then I start to twitch, and I have to switch to cult. And I've already hit my limit so early in this video. More than 1,200 people. Now, tell me this, y'all. We've seen footage. We've seen pictures. We've seen images. Does anyone believe that there were 1,200 people at that holiday lighting? Put a 1 in the chat if you think Scientology is making up numbers, and put a 2 if you're like, you know what, I think they're actually accurate on that. I honestly want to know. I just want to make sure I'm not being all biased about it, just assuming they lie all the time. They had community leaders there wishing the crowd warm wishes, and they actually list out who was there. The Chicano Latino Democratic Club president, Martin Cruz, Hollywood Chamber of Commerce president, CEO Steve Neeson, I think it's pronounced, a dance company. So they just go into more information about that. But more than 1,200? Like, am I crazy? Mama Opal says 1, liars. 2, I believe everything they say. Exactly. 1, if they're lying about having over 1,200 people, and a 2 if, hey, I think it was probably accurate. Let me know. Jump in there and tell me. And if you're on the replay, jump into those comments as well. Now, let's talk about the Grinch at the Hollywood, I'm going blank here, Winter Wonderland. Oh, yay, menopause brain fog. The Hollywood Winter Wonderland has more than one Grinch. Now, if you saw the thumbnail for this video, you saw a photo of one of them. That lady who's supposed to be being an elf. Can you imagine taking your kids in there? And I mean, just, you see this like upset looking woman. I mean, that's how she looked. Just really upset, irritated, and annoyed. Not giving holiday acceptance, like joy, community, togetherness. This elf was giving, don't come in here. That was my take on it. So that's one of the Grinches. The other Grinch got into it with Scientology Audit, Streets LA, William Gude. Dan Walks LA was there. We're going to look at some clips and see what happened. But this is a classic example of Scientology being Scientology. This is during the holidays. Can we like, do they need to be so Grinchy? How adorable is Dan Walks LA? Look at that. That's so cute. So let's take a look at his clip here.
This guy, I had no desire to go out. I was walking by.
Same.
I came by to say hi to this guy. There's nothing going on. But this guy comes over. We're having a conversation. He comes over all aggressively and insisted on being part. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. You shut up. Shut up. You shut up. I came into his conversation.
Oh, it just like jumped off the ledge there. Ted, the security guard, who's also the guy at the blue building. Now, I thought it was a different guy. It's Ted. But when I first saw him, I thought, well, wait a minute. I thought Ted had more like a darker color in his beard. And this gentleman just looked a little different. Maybe it was just camera angles. I don't know. Mock, yes, Scientology is against joy, and that makes you grinchy. So true. So true. Let's see. Yeah, Brian, you hitting the nail on the head. Streets is the last person to get into an argument with. Okay, let's watch more of this grinchiness as it unfolded. It really did unfold. There's a whole story here. It's amazing.
Wah, wah, wah. Look at them. This is the professionals of the Scientology. This is who they hired.
No.
The Church
He
of
asked me a
Scientology.
He asked me a
The
question.
Church of Scientology hired this professional. Again, when he was a kid, he wanted to be doing this right here. Right now, be out here at this moment, screaming in somebody's phone, protecting the Church of Scientology. Anyway, we were having a conversation.
That's right.
And Mr. Potato Head right here came walking over and insisted on being part of it.
So this is where Ted gets a phone call, and y'all know who's on the other end of that line because they're watching and they're listening. That's right. As Dan Walks LA likes to call them, and I love it, Daddy Osa. Daddy Osa got on that phone and was like, Ted, back it off. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage. This is how I imagine it went down. Let's employ the help of Scientology leader David Miscavige. Wake up, Office of Special Affairs. I know it's really early in Los Angeles. Here's the deal. This was such another public relations flap, as it's called in Scientology, because this is so grinchy. And the fact that you call Ted and are like, hey, don't engage, made it even worse. Take a look at this.
Phone call. They're going to say, come on, come back inside. This guy, you just walk away. Yeah, that's what they said.
So Ted gets the phone call after getting into it with Scientology Audit Streets LA. They're wah, wah. I mean, that somebody has got to make that into like some kind of meme or something, because that was just the best. So take a look at this. We're going to look at another clip here.
They want to have a low-key thing, right? They want to do this low-key. Doors are closed. But you insisted on creating drama. Again, I was walking by. I was going to go down here, get my little shake. Again, oh my God. Guys,
can I get one too?
He's filming me.
Nope.
Oh, he got a picture of me.
Oh, no!
He's got a picture of me.
I think Ted even smiled there when he turned back. I mean, because how many photos does Scientology have of Dan Walks LA or Scientology Audit Streets LA? I mean, maybe they want to put together some type of ornaments with the different live streamers and protesters and put them on the tree in the back. They have multiple Christmas trees there. That's my guess. That's why I think all these photos, what they're for, because how many photos can you have of the same people? How many do you actually need? Indeed. So Ted ends up just walking away because Daddy Osa told him, return.
I told you to get away from here, and you know what you're doing? You're waddling your ass away from here, as you should. You brought this attention on you.
Yep, he did. Now, it didn't end there, you guys. It did not end there. Becky says, did Ted really believe he would outscream Will even when Will whispers he's loud? Yeah, that's true. William Gude definitely has a voice that carries. It's a voice that booms. It impinges, as they say in Scientology. It definitely impinges. SPTV never ends in Artology. Kelly, they think it will be evidence in court. Oh, absolutely. That's what so many of the videos and things are, is Scientology crafting a narrative, trying to position live streamers and protesters as being unstable and insane. That is the narrative they've been trying to craft since like going decades back when people were protesting Scientology. It's what they do. It's their go-to. It's what L. Ron Hubbard said to do. You can fair game. You can do whatever it takes to nullify a critic of Scientology. So whatever you need to say or make up to discredit them or try to tie them up in the court, it's all fair game in Scientology. It's all stuff that they do. And we see it here all the time. So take a look at this though. Little later, So William Gude takes off for a while. He goes down the street. I think there were some police there. William Gude has another channel, Film the Police LA, which many of you probably know about. And then he comes back. He comes back to Winter Wonderland. And there's an opportunity maybe for some peace and joy during the holiday season. Do William and Ted make up? I don't know. Let's take a look. And what does Daddy Osa do to try and get in the way? Actually, quite a bit. So let's take a look at this. This is when William Gude goes back to the testing center after having left for a while. He's back at the Grinchy Winter Wonderland.
Tell me about it. What happened then. You gonna be civil now? Yeah, come and talk.
You asked me a question and I was answering it, and that's when you came up. And
you got no. We were in the middle of having a conversation. If that's the case, then you were being rude.
So Ted basically is explaining that when William Gude walked up, that Ted, because what happened was, you see William Gude and Dan Walks LA having a conversation, and Ted interjects something and interrupts them. Ted was saying he was answering a question that Dan asked him right before Streets LA walked up. Now in Scientology, we call that a communication lag. Right, Office of Special Affairs? You there? It's the amount of time between when you're asked a question and when you actually answer it. And sometimes you're speaking, but you're not actually answering the question. How long does it take the person to actually answer the question determines their communication lag. And that's what they call it in Scientology. I hope they make an ornament for Ted. I hope somebody's taking his picture back there and adding it to the tree. So Ted, as we can see, is trying to be like, hey, this is what happened. And you know what? I got to give props to Ted for doing that. He didn't have to try to make an effort. And let's see where that went.
Okay, let's reset everything. There we go. There we go.
No, I did not. I was taking down the things that they put on the board, and she said I did it with the intention.
Now, I don't know what he's talking about this board that he keeps mentioning. I really don't.
Till this point. All right, there we go. You don't want to go in there. It's a cult, buddy. You know it. Yeah, it's a cult. No, I have a feeling he doesn't. Ted, they're going to tell you can't talk. Tell me about it. What happened.
Yeah, so he gets another call. And again, it looks like he was told to not engage, where here he's kind of like smoothing things over a bit, at least with William, based off their earlier screaming match with the wah, wah, the wah, wah heard around the world, the holiday wah, wah, the wah, wah outside, you know, a Christmas like whole get together. It's supposed to be wholesome. Oh, so let's take a look now. I think we got one more here before Ted actually goes off. I mean, like walks off, takes off.
You know what we're here for. You got a job to do. We got a job to do. And that's just that. It doesn't have to be against you right now. I just, I want to stop people from coming in here. You want to do your job, which is to secure the property. That's what we're here to do. I think it's unfortunate they'll say, oh, well, don't engage. How do we ever reach some sort of common ground if we don't engage? But they're
Isn't that an excellent point? William Gude says, how do we reach common ground if we don't engage? That is such an excellent point. And in the beginning, you see, I'm looking at Ted. I feel like Ted wants to cross the line. You know what I'm saying? I know this is his job that he has, but I'm kind of feeling like he would run out of there if he had the opportunity or chance. But that is a great point. And I'm glad that Ted at least heard it. Like, how do we keep moving? Like, here, we know what your job is. We know what you're here to do. Here's what we're here to do. I mean, William Gude is really making a good case for this.
You're telling you not to engage.
It's a cult. It's all Scientology. Oh, well. They would love you.
I'm gonna lay off, he said. We got off on the wrong foot for no reason. You know what we're here for. You got a job to do. We got a job to do.
I mean, tell me what you guys think. I thought that was really great that William was basically like, hey, we know what your job is. Here's what we're here to do. We can coexist. It does not need to be so, combative. But the issue, let's be honest, is Scientology and Daddy Osa. because they will always push for disconnection. They will always push for non-engagement. They don't want William Gude and Ted to engage with each other or communicate because they don't want Ted to kind of come to his senses and go, wow, I'm actually protecting a human trafficking cult. This is not cool. That is, I think that's exactly what's happening. I feel like Ted would have more of a conversation and he's not being allowed to because he keeps being called by Scientology. Marcy says, run, Ted, run. Absolutely. Now, Mena says, don't be sorry for Ted. He was rude to Audit LA. I'm not sorry for him, Mena. I'm just saying, I think that this is a good example of where Scientology doesn't allow communication. Like they were talking and like talking out like, hey, you're here doing this, we're here doing that. Definitely do not feel sorry for him. He was rude to Audit LA multiple times and multiple other live streamers and protesters too. You're totally right about that. Absolutely. Seal Bilf, Ted should flip and spill the tea. You can tell he wants to. Exactly. That's kind of like what I was picking up on. And I was curious. So let's do another impromptu poll. So put a 1 in the chat if you think Ted would love to get out of there. He's just doing his job. Or 2, he is hardcore behind Scientology. My personal opinion is I feel like given the opportunity, he would get out of there. Like this is a job, but he's making, you make your bed, you got to lay in it. Like he's been there for a long time now. I don't know. I feel, and maybe it's because I'm kind of optimistic overall that I just want, we'll look to see, well, look, he's trying and maybe he does want to leave. Susan says, I love William Gude and Dan Walks LA. Yes, completely. We all do. We got a ton of good girls around here. Absolutely. Becky says, Street seriously is the best protester. He has passion and compassion. Great combo. That's so true. And we've seen that often where you see his passion coming through and he can be very, impinge, as they say in Scientology, but he can also be so compassionate and he takes the time to educate people, even if they're just 1 or 2 people passing by, to answer questions about Scientology and let them know this is why we're here. This is actually what Scientology is about. These are the harmful practices that we're protesting. It really helps to get that message out because it's not just that one person there. It's people seeing it on the video and going, oh, okay, that's why they're there. Because there's a whole new audience being introduced to the whole world of exposing Scientology. So I really appreciate it when anyone who's protesting does take that time because, again, it's not just for the people there, but also for the people watching on video, watching on YouTube and going, oh, that's what they're doing. That's why they're doing it. I didn't know that about Scientology, and they actually learn about it. Let's see. Mike Jesus says, Ted is like all the other badge wearers. They think everyone has to obey them. Ted has no clue about the people's constitutional rights. It does seem that way, doesn't it, Mike? It does. Just a Northern Girl is saying, it'll be interesting to see if Cowboy Grinch changes his time towards the protesters now that he and William had a chat. True. That is true. Cowboy Grinch, though, that's hilarious. Atkins in Texas, who knows what's in anyone's mind? Only words and actions tell the story. He may be stuck. Agreed. I completely agree with that. Constance June says, I get people need jobs, but working for Scientology is a no way. I would not trust working for Scientology. Very true. It's very possible, too, that Ted had no idea going into this what it was really about. It's amazing how many people there don't really, more and more people are learning about it. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens moving forward. Hey, Cubs, did I see you go flying by in the chat? Thank you for being here. And Cubs, can you send me an email so we can connect? Natalie@lifeafteroccult.com. Cubs is going through, he's got a legal issue going on. I want to understand it better. So can you reach out and then we can chat about it? Let's see. Oh, wait, no, we did that one. That was such a great comment. All right, now let's go over and take a peek at a look at an article in the Daily Mail about Jenna Miscavige and a video she did earlier about the creepy song that the cadets used to sing, and they would sing it to Sea Org members. Do you guys remember that? Who saw that video? Did you guys see Jenna's video about that? And she sings part of it, and it's like the creepiest song ever. When you understand the background of what was going on with those kids at the cadet org and their parents, or lack thereof. I mean, it really hits differently. It does. But this is interesting nonetheless. It's in, let's see here. It's in the Daily Mail. Ex-Scientologist reveals creepy song she claims they sang as kids like a horror movie. Let me refresh that because it looks funny. Like a horror movie. That's intense. This is quite the story. It's actually quite a long article. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but I want to get it on your radar, and I'm going to link it down below because it really gets into the whole video. You know, Jenna Miscavige posted a clip of herself singing the lyrics while strolling around her California neighborhood as part of a new series of bombshell YouTube videos about her experiences with the Scientology religion. So the song they sang was called Carry On, and it was used to brainwash younger members, which she claimed were called cadets. And Daily Mail, that's not a claim. Even Scientology will admit that they call them cadets. That's a fact. That's a fact. And they were made to do heavy labor, such as digging trenches, hauling rocks, planting trees, and construction. It's so culty, it's so like child grooming, and it's so obvious, so blatant that it's almost funny, she claimed in the video. Viewers of the YouTube channel were quick to comment about how creepy the song was, with one claiming it's like something from a horror movie. The cult of Scientology had previously denied that children were forced to engage in manual labor. Kind of hard to keep denying that when there's so many grown cadets saying the exact same thing. Kind of hard. So the article goes on to give some background on Jenna and also some of her other videos that she's done. Adorable picture from back when with her kids. This is the actual video. They actually go ahead and share that there.
I'm Jenna Miscavige.
The whole link to the video, which is nice. And they also talk about her book, which is fantastic. I mean, it's got a lot of good info in there. I'm going to link it down below. We don't have time to read the whole thing, but interesting. And I'm glad they covered that because it's a little thing when you think about, oh, it's a song that they sang in the cadet org. But Jenna's right. It's a grooming song. Carry on, right? Keep going, persist, make it go right. That's a phrase used all the time in Scientology. Make it go right. For me, it's up there with hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray to L. Ron Hubbard, which I'm pretty much almost over that now. And I want to change my intro because now I'm over it. I wanted to take back hip, hip, hooray, but now I'm over it. Now I'm working on make it go right. That's what was said to us all the time, especially in the SEA organization. They basically will tell you to take 5 pounds of crap and put it into a 1 pound bag. And you're like, well, I mean, physics would say this isn't going to work. And they're like, that's backflash. Backflash in the SEA organization is like talking back. Make it go right. That's what we were told all the time. So I don't have so much of a button on it anymore. I think the phrase, but now it kind of cracks me up. Like, really? Make it go right? Like I'm 5 pounds don't fit in 1 pound. I don't know what to tell you about this Scientology. Amber, we also used to march and sing that song. Amber Vanessa. Amber was a cadet in Scientology Sea organization. I had her on the channel not that long ago. Great interview. And yeah, so you guys marched and sang to it. So picture this. These children of Scientology marching and singing this Carry On song. I just cannot. Thank you for sharing that, Amber. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, Rika. Hey, Joe Buchanan. Mock says music is an effective tool in bypassing the critical thinking. Oh my gosh. I didn't even look at it like that. You're right. I didn't think about it like that. Ooh, I wonder if that's why L. Ron Hubbard did the Road to Freedom, or why they have their We Stand Tall. That whole thing. Oh my gosh. Hey, MD Media. I saw you go flying by. Okay, so let's see. Now, let's jump over and talk about Phil Jones. Philip Jones here on YouTube. He did a video. We're going to look at a clip about superpowers. Philip Jones on how Scientology superpowers and their lies about it. Take a look at this clip.
I knew when I was in Scientology, I knew many OT8s, and
now remember, that's operating Thetan level 8. That's the furthest you can go on Scientology's what? Say it with me. Bridge to total freedom. That's as far as you can go on that. And I love how he's pulling back the curtain on this.
Tell you, they were as messed up or more than any of us. In some ways, a lot more. They've gone through all of this talking to body thetans, or supposedly talking to body thetans or beings that weren't really there, you know, can make you a little crazy. So doing that for decades, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of auditing and sitting in a chair with an e-meter and supposedly communicating with body thetans to.
And remember, these are like the upper levels in Scientology from operating Thetan level 3 up. You are solo auditing, as they call it. You have the e-meter, you're auditing yourself, and you're getting rid of body thetans all the way up on those upper levels. And each time you do one of those levels, you're like, oh, I've reached the pinnacle. I've done operating level 3 and I don't have any more body thetans, right? That's why we did it. I'm done. And then you start operating Thetan level 4 and they're like, yeah, so not so much. Turns out you have a lot more body thetans. Now, me personally, the only body thetans I have are the ones sitting right back there. My body thetans from Pharaoh Cheryl. That's where they are. My grandkids love them. My grandkids call them baby thetans. Which I like better for them because, you know, I just think that's funny. Rika says, I love Phil's videos. Me too. Okay, let's finish this clip.
Eradicate them. Then, you know, it can make people a little crazy. And I knew some OT8s. I knew one guy who just went off the deep end a little bit, and he actually once was escorted off of the flag land. I knew.
So Phil shares some very interesting stories in there, which for anybody never in Scientology, but all in on ending this cult, and even former Scientologists, I think you're going to find very interesting. So after this, again, I'm going to link it down below. CL Bill says the only true OTs are Robin Scott and Stephen Fishman. Now, is Stephen Fishman, was he involved in the stealing of the OT3 materials? Because Robin Scott, way back when, y'all, way back when, Robin Scott and maybe this guy, but fill me in, CO Bill, went into a Scientology organization dressed as Sea Org members and then just like grabbed the materials, and then now they're out on the internet for everybody to see. It was so bold. It was so bold. It's part of for many people who have left Scientology and find out about the history, learn about that time and what happened and how it changed the access to those upper levels in Scientology and exposed what it really was about. Because if it's out there and known, now everyday Scientologists, if they see something like that online, a good Scientologist is going to click away. But come on, you can't tell me out of curiosity that some of them aren't going to look and find out what is the big deal. What is the big deal? And I think they did. I think they do. Gregory, that's crazy. A bit behind, maybe set up Tori and Ted on a date. Absolutely not. No, Tori is too good for him. Too good for him. Ruth, aloha to you, and thank you for catching up. Rika, I wish we had actual numbers on those who unalive in upper OT levels. Rika, email me, Natalie@lifeafteroccult.com. I do have a spreadsheet that doesn't have everything, but has some of the info. Somebody put it together, and that would be a great project for someone to work on, to put together a list of people who either, you know, committed criminal activities, murder, unaliving, all these things have happened with people doing the upper levels in Scientology. I did through operating Thetan level 4. That's as far as I got when I was doing Scientology. Scientology's what? Bridge to total freedom. But I think that'd be great because it is incredibly disturbing. And I think that's a good tool to be able to show somebody who's having doubts about Scientology, or even bringing up in a protest. Why did, I don't know how many numbers it is, but let's say 10. Why have 10 operating Thetan, why have 10 OT8s unalive themselves? I don't know that it's 10. I'm just throwing out a number for the example. That is something that could sneak in to people who are still in Scientology, especially at the smaller orgs as well, like where Rika is in Portland, or the Seattle org, because that's where Scientology staff members are. And there's only a few Sea Org members, but I think that's a great question to ask. And I love that idea, Rika. If you email me, I'll get you the spreadsheet that I've seen, and maybe we can fill it in somehow and start sharing that information. My mom was on operating Thetan level 7 when we were leaving Scientology. And she told me that when she went, because every 6 months you have to go do this 6-month check, they called it. You basically got to pay all this money. And you go to flag and you get interrogated to make sure you're not doing anything naughty that you shouldn't be. And she said that when she started questioning, like, I don't understand why, this was at the beginning of the Ideal Organization program that David Miscavige started to get Scientology public to pay for all these buildings. She said that they did what's called in Scientology, like reverse auditing or Black Dianetics on her to try to make her think she was crazy, that she wasn't really seeing what she was seeing. And she said she did what she had to do to get out of there and make them think like, no, she's fine, she's quiet. And she came home. And it wasn't long after that that we left Scientology. So I don't doubt that is happening to multiple Scientologists, especially on the upper levels, because you're telepathically communicating with body Thetans and going through these incidents that involve chariots and cherubs and loud snapping noises and volcanoes. And you can't tell me that doesn't lead to, especially once you get through operating Thetan level 8, if you have any type of underlying mental instability or mental health issues, my opinion is the operating Thetan levels exacerbate that. I mean, think about it. If you think that you have all these entities attached to you, and maybe you already have some underlying mental health issues, it could really exacerbate it and make it worse. And you pay all this money and you go up, 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 up on their levels, not to get the result of what they say you're going to get. There's a lot of that. There is a lot of that. Rika, I'd love to chalk their names and what level they were on. I love that. I love that, Rika. Yeah, shoot me an email and then I'll look it up. I need to find it. Somebody sent it to me and I have to go figure out how to find it in my email. But I would love to see that done too. Let's see. Marina, I'm so sorry you lost your dad yesterday. Haven't been around since I started my new job, but I'm here because my dad passed away yesterday. Thinking of you, I grieve my loss. Marina, so sorry. Can you guys put some hearts in the chat for Marina or some ones? Just give her some love there. That's really hard. And thank you for being here and being here with us. That's a really hard time to lose somebody. I hear you. I hear you. That's why it was so nice for me to have Feral Cheryl here over Thanksgiving, because between losing my dad and my Tony this year, the holidays, I mean, it's just a crap show. I mean, there's a lot of good things happening too, but it is hard. Jolie, every time you do the bridge to total freedom voice, it cracks me up. I'm glad. I can't stop. I feel like every single time, because it's so ridiculous. It's just this like, the bridge to total freedom. I mean, come on. It's the bridge to total bankruptcy. Let's be real. Let's be real about it. Be merry for life. Thank you for the reminder to hit that like button. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. You know what makes Scientology mad than anything? Hitting the like and subscribe. They don't like it. They do not at all. Let's see. Kelsey, thank you so much for the super chat. I feel like I ask this question all the time, but how can David Miscavige be the leader of Scientology if he has not completed any of the OT levels? Now, I think he did complete some. If I'm remembering correctly, and any of my friends in the live chat chime in, didn't he get to maybe operating Thetan level 5, or he was mid-it? But the thing, Kelsey, is everyday Scientologists don't know this. They don't. And I think that's something that is really important to remember, especially for people who are live streaming or protesting Scientology. There can be a lot of frustration with the Scientologists. Why are you still there? Why are you there when there's human trafficking? Why are you there when David Miscavige himself isn't even really doing Scientology? They don't know that. Trust me when I tell you, Scientologists make the assumption that David Miscavige is highly trained, which he is not, and he is done everything in Scientology in terms of Scientology auditing. So the simple answer, Kelsey, is they don't know. They don't know. I didn't know till I left Scientology. I should do a video. Somebody help me remember this. Of all the things that shocked me that I found out to be untrue or about Scientology after I left, because I think that might help give insight into the mindset of a Scientologist, which I try to do, because for as much as, people get out there and you want to protest the harmful abuses in Scientology, the abusive practices, everyday Scientologists, I'm not talking staff members or C organization members, especially, they don't know about the vast majority of the things that you guys now know. But reminding them of some of those things, like, L. Ron Hubbard said not to fundraise. Those are the things that get through, I think, to actual Scientologists and even maybe C organization members. Because here's the thing. Many C organization members are not trained in actual Scientology, like auditing Scientology's bridge to total freedom. They're not. And most have not done a lot of auditing in Scientology, aside from security checks and interrogations. So they themselves don't really get all of the whole picture. You know what I'm saying? And I think that might help. And then reminding them of there's so many things, even like Julia says here, not to forget Whitney Mills. Exactly. Whitney Mills was operating Thetan level 8, unalived herself in a horrific way, set fire to herself, and then, used a pew-pew. I mean, it's just so tragic. And what's so tragic too about the Whitney Mills story is how Scientology knew she was hallucinating. They knew she was struggling with mental health issues. She begged her doctor, Dr. David Minkoff, father of Real Housewives of New York, cast member Rebecca Minkoff, for help. And he never directed her to any type of mental health treatment that was valid, because Scientology is not allowed to do that. They're not. You cannot do that. You cannot. Kelsey says, I guess I'm more not understanding how he wouldn't complete all the OT levels and still be able to run the entire thing. Natalie was more qualified to run Scientology than Dave. Well, I guess here's the thing. Maybe this will help. In the C organization, now remember, everyday public don't even know that he's not done all of the levels or that he's not done all of the auditor training. But in the C organization, you are expected to be, one, to accept any job given to you, that you have to do it, and that you're going to be competent in doing it no matter what. You will learn how to do it, you will drill how to do it, and then you will do it. So in the C organization, there's no expectation that I have to be operating Thetan level 5 in order to do this job, except when it comes to delivering those things to the public. So a Scientology auditor delivering operating Thetan level 5, say, that person, oh my gosh, you guys, the menopause brain fog is strong today. It's strong. I totally lost myself there. Oh, but let me get back to Kelsey's question. They don't know. And in the C organization, okay, now I'm back on track. Because that belief is so strong, the indoctrination is so strong that you don't have to be trained to do all these jobs. No one in the Sea Org ever questions it, because we were indoctrinated to believe we had to learn how to do any job. It doesn't matter how trained you are or not. But Kelsey, they should see this as an out point. You're right, but they don't, mostly because they don't know. Nobody's given up where David Miscavige is on the bridge to total freedom. They're not. They are not. Okay, let's jump over now and look at, oh, you guys, you got to see this. You guys got to see this. Afila here on YouTube, links down below, did a video sharing a very disturbing disconnection story, which, oh, you guys got to hear this. I could not believe this. This is basically between a 13-year-old child and her father. And it starts off with the child who's in Scientology. I'm not going to disconnect from you. They could never make me do that. And it quickly goes south. Listen to this, you guys.
I warned her and said that one day Scientology would ask her to choose between me and Scientology. There we go. We've just read definition of what a cult is, and also compared to a religion. I said the decision is yours, and whatever decision you make will not change how I feel about you. I will always be your dad and love you more than anything in this world, and I'm always here for you. Well, I just got off the phone with my 13-year-old daughter, who was in tears as Scientology was forcing her to never speak to me again, due to the fact that I have been outspoken about my negative experiences with Scientology.
Yeah, 13 years old and being handled to disconnect from her dad.
Sorry, but this is heartbreaking. Like, it's a child.
Exactly. I feel I hit the nail on the head there. And there's more to this story. She actually goes into a bit more information about it.
Leave you. Look, I am sorry, but I cannot leave Scientology and will never leave you. I love you and I will never leave you.
So this is the daughter, right? I love you. I'm never going to leave you. She's basically saying, hey, I'm not going to disconnect. There's like, and this is a point of view that many start with. When I left Scientology and I was getting my daughter out of Scientology, or we were leaving together, she just didn't know it. That is kind of where she was at too, is she thought, no, they're never going to make us disconnect. Because I told her, Shelby, if you go back, they will force you to disconnect from your entire family. And she's like, no. I'm like, Shelby, the PTSSP course, the green volumes, like reference after reference about this, it's handle or disconnect. But Scientology has been operating off of, if you say anything out of pocket about Scientology, it is disconnection if you speak about it. And I hadn't even spoken about it at that point. And Shelby didn't believe. And I mean, she sees it differently now, but it reminds me of the story.
I want it to be very clear that no Scientologist would tell me to leave you, as one of the dynamics is family.
She really believes, this 13-year-old girl, that she was not going to be forced to disconnect from her dad.
And you are a huge part of it. See, Scientology has all these theories. In practice, very different. And you are a huge part of it.
I mean, her dad, I mean, can you imagine? Like, I'm sure she's thinking like, oh, that's never going to happen. And then it happens.
Scientology puts out the SP declare on me. Below are the last 2 emails from her in response to emails from me.
So dad gets declared. And then the 13-year-old, this is her response after.
You are absolutely right about my hate towards you, and it is real. Wow. I am with my mum. At least she looks after me while you don't, and she tries to help me. I love her, so I am with her. So please shut up and leave me alone. Leave me in peace. You're with her because you don't have a choice, love. You're a kid.
Yeah, this is a kid who is 13 years old, who Scientology forced to disconnect from her dad, a dad who loves her. Marcy, thank you so much for gifting 5 Scientology Life After Occult memberships. If you're getting hit with a membership, please throw a little mahalo or aloha. Thank you there to Marcy. I appreciate that. This is crazy. But this is what happens in Scientology. This is a result of Scientology's harmful practice of disconnection. And I'm glad that Afila and so many others are shedding a light on this. It happens over and over again. Scientology, Office of Special Affairs, just let people be. People can disagree. They cannot, I mean, my sister back in the day, my sister Lana left Scientology way before the rest of us did. But she was quiet about it. She never said one thing against Scientology, and she knew that if she did, I don't know, I mean, I would not have disconnected from my sister. It would have probably helped me get out of Scientology sooner. But that when you have family in Scientology, it's you have to walk this line of not talking about certain things or not questioning them and just keep it kind of like good roads, good weather. And as far as Scientology went, for years, we just didn't talk about it, or just talked about, just more like as just, oh, I did this today at the org or whatever. I knew not to try to convince my sister that Scientology was right, and she knew not to try to convince me that I needed to leave. But in all the other ways, we were still close. We did things together as a family. We were together every holiday. We even lived together for a short period years ago. But to do this to a kid who is 13, and think about the words she used. She went from, no one could ever make me disconnect from you, they're not going to do that, to, I hate you. I'm with my mom because at least she looks after me, not like you. What happened? What happened in between then? I'll tell you what happened. The same thing that happened to Nicole Kidman's children when she and Tom Cruise split. Marty Rathbun, who at the time was a Sea Org member, right-hand man of David Miscavige, he's talked about this, was very involved in not just splitting them up, but turning the children against her, turning Connor and Isabella Cruz against their mother, Nicole Kidman. This is that same situation. Scientology got their hooks into this girl, this 13-year-old, and filled her head with, your dad doesn't even take care of you. Your dad's not even watching after you. Your mom is. I mean, people, but especially children, are you can influence them in those ways. And I'm sure they did this for long periods of time. It's part of the brainwashing, to brainwash her that her father is the enemy and her mom is the only one who's taking care of her. How sad is that? How sad is that? It's so nasty. It's so nasty. Scientology's, disconnection practice is like in my opinion, one of the worst things about Scientology. It really is. Julia, this is heartbreaking. This is a heartbreaking loss for the whole family. A child cannot consent. Exactly. But let's make this kid, just like cut off her dad like that. A dad who obviously loves his daughter and she's 13. That's just heartbreaking. It really is. It is so heartbreaking. Kevin says, is it true that the only person in Scientology without a folder is David Miscavige, captain of the Sea Org? I don't know. I've heard that. I mean, if you're David Miscavige, so the folders are like your ethics file. If you get reports written on you or you get commendations, it goes in that folder. Scientology is all about keeping files on people and their own people. They're people in good standing. Let's run through them quickly. Let's see. You get a file in Central Files started about you, where if you buy something, there might be an invoice in there and all the letters they write you is in there. You then have an ethics file where all the reports on you or commendations, ethics handlings, all goes in there. Then you have a PC folder, which is a pre-clear folder where all of your Scientology auditing, all of your confessionals goes in there. All the notes that are detailed and taken by Scientology. Is there another one, you guys? Am I missing one? Ethics file, Central Files, public PC folder. Sorry, you guys. I think I see a spider on my curtain, but that's okay. Eat those bugs, spider. Eat those bugs, and ye shall live another day. Gotta tell you. Namfik. If children could realize that their parents gave them the greatest gift on earth, which is life, maybe they would help them understand where their parents are coming from. Yeah, and Scientology doesn't help. That's the thing. They just jump in the middle and start pushing people around. Yep, Jehovah's Witnesses, they disconnect too. I think they call it shunning. Do they call it shunning? If you're a former member, they will disconnect as well, which is what makes them culty. SP Crusader says, my dad left my mom and us to join the Sea organization, but my Scientology tried to get us to disconnect from mom. So Scientology tried to get you to disconnect from your mother because your dad joined the Sea organization. That is horrible, horrible. And it happens all the time. It does. That's a sad thing. Let's see. I'm getting caught up on your comments here. I'm so behind. Where are we at here? Let's take a look here at, did you guys see the video that Aaron Smith-Levin on Growing Up in Scientology did on the hostage videos that Scientology does, where they get all these people to do these videos going, David Miscavige, no, David Miscavige is like the best leader ever. I mean, you know, he knows my name and he just knows everything. And he's so kind. He's very kind. He's very kind. No, he's not cruel at all. Okay, that was an exaggeration. I will admit that, but not far from it. Anyways, also in that video, Aaron gets into how David Miscavige micromanages Scientology all over the place, because David Miscavige is the head of the Religious Technology Center, right? The chairman of the board. Yet he micromanages Scientology. And it's very interesting how he does that through a network of representatives called Religious Technology Center Representatives, RTC reps. This is how he does it, how they do it. This is how they do it. You got to excuse me. I break out in a song all the time in my mind. Okay, so let's see. Take a look at this.
When I say he manages the day-to-day operations of Scientology, I do mean at the international level and at the Sea Org base level. David Miscavige has personal representatives that they're called RTC reps. They personally micromanage the day-to-day operations of every Sea Org base on every Scientology continent. But the fact that he just made this analogy of he would be the king leading the charge from the front, David Miscavige actually does not visit Class 5 Scientology organizations. These are the organizations, the major large organizations that operate at the city level, that are staffed by non-Sea Org members, and is where the vast majority of brand new people are supposed to get into Scientology. He shows up to do the ribbon yanking of the grand openings for the new buildings when they.
I love that Aaron calls it a ribbon yanking. I guess it is a yanking of the ribbon.
Buy and renovate the new buildings. But if I'm going to use Philadelphia as an example of a city, which, by the way, Philadelphia is where David Miscavige's family got into Scientology. Philadelphia is a Scientology organization that does not have its new big building. Actually, they bought it 20 years ago, but they've never been able to raise enough money to renovate it. I will tell you this. David Miscavige has not set foot in the Philadelphia Scientology organization in probably 40 years. There's only 150 Scientology orgs in the world.
Yep. Has not, does not, but uses this network of RTC reps at different Sea organization orgs, and they go around enforcing his orders. Here's the interesting thing about that, which, well, I don't know, may or may not be interesting to you guys, but I know my former Scientology friends, he completely bypasses the entire organizing board. So in Scientology, especially in the Sea Org, we were drilled into our heads about command lines. You don't go from here to up here without going through these people. And it's the same thing going down. But the Religious Technology Center Representative Network cuts across all of that and enforces and does the micromanaging for David Miscavige. So very interesting stuff there. Very interesting stuff. JNC or Rabono. I'm confused how someone is sucked in the cult of Scientology madness. Natalie, you being part of a Hawaiian energy, how could you leave this wonderful discipline? I've read much about Hawaiian mysticism. Well, I grew up in Scientology. My mom became a Scientologist when I was 5, and I was raised in it. So it's all that I ever knew. But you are right. It definitely conflicted with a lot of my Hawaiian upbringing. But there was a period of time in my life, about 9 years, where I had no contact with my biological dad, who's Hawaiian, and my Hawaiian family. So I was disconnected from that for about 9 years. And then when I insisted on being able to see my dad again, I got back in touch with that family and reconnected with that. And it's been a part of me since then, and especially since leaving Scientology, because, I mean, JNC sounds like you're familiar. It really is in conflict with really, like, I mean, if you guys been to Hawaii, you know, it's the aloha spirit, right? It's kind of like, hey, can we live and let live? And just trying to be helpful. Very simple stuff. Very simple stuff. And welcoming. Anna from Canada says the hostage videos were so cringy. They were. I want to do my version of one of those videos. Julia, Amish do shun their members. Ah, okay. If you leave, I think I remember watching a documentary about that. T, do Scientologists celebrate Christmas? I've heard conflicting info. Yes, all the Scientologists that I knew. Now, in the C organization is different because you ain't got time for that. But as a public Scientologist, most of the families I knew celebrated Christmas from a, commercial aspect of Santa, celebrated more Santa Christmas, not Jesus Christmas. So they celebrate it. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean just because too, if you're in Scientology, well, my family kind of had a mix of it because my sister and my brother-in-law are Christians. So there was always some Christianity mixed in with our Christmas, which I liked because it really, I mean, that's really what it's supposed to be about. That's what Christmas is about. But don't get me wrong, I love Santa and everything else. I think it's the magic of the holidays is what I like to focus on because it's fun and it's fun for kids. But Scientologists, I don't know a Scientology family that did not celebrate Christmas. Doesn't mean they didn't. I'm just saying I did not know anybody who did. That's a great question, T. Great question. Okay, where are we at here? Oh, we got to get to this. I'm running behind. Jenna Miscavige did a video about changing her last name. Does she need to change it? Oh, don't make your blood boil.
I couldn't wait to be married. It was because every time they called roll in a classroom, everyone would look at me and it was always used against me. I was always told, you think that you can do this because you're Jenna Miscavige, or you only think you can get away with doing this thing because of who you are. Or even when I would be getting interrogated, all the questions I got were oriented around me using my name for an unfair advantage.
Remember, Jenna Miscavige was 12 years old when they started interrogating her, and it didn't stop. She's gotten more interrogations and security checks than I think anybody I know.
And it was just something that I was constantly accused of. And it was something that I was constantly told that I was basically not good enough for, that I was not worthy, that made me feel like I had no inherent value, that my value only came from my name, which was only valuable because of my uncle. I couldn't wait to be married. It was
such a great video. Go check it out. I'm going to link it down below. It was good. A lot of great info there, but sad at the same time. JNC, thank you so much for your super sticker. Thank you, Natalie, for answering my questions. You're awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Oh, I just like every time I hear more of Jenna's story with her upbringing in the cadet Oregon stuff, I'm like, oh, how is this? How did this happen? But it did. Amber, Vanessa, a lot of us had no choice but to be Scientologists because our parents were Scientologists. Very true. Rika, I hate hierarchies. Me too. My brain doesn't function that way. I'm more like, and maybe that's part of too, like growing up in Hawaii and being like, there's just a melting pot of people. So I had friends of so many different religions. And if I slept over their house on a Saturday and they had temple or something on Sunday, we would often go with. It just so wasn't a thing. And I think even here, we have such a community of so many different types of people, that former Scientologists and people never in Scientology, but all in on ending this cult. And I think that's a beautiful community. The more, the merrier. That's how I feel about it. We got to not be Scientology. They're into the hierarchies. They're into the us against them, or just trying to tear people down to discredit them so that people don't believe what they say about Scientology. It's so dumb because it doesn't really work. It works a little bit, which is why they keep doing it. There are some who will believe the things said about people who are exposing Scientology and run with it. But for the most part, it doesn't, because many of you, the majority of you who are here to hear and witness these stories and these abusive practices in Scientology and amplify those voices, you know what's up. Let's see. Oh, do not miss this, you guys. Check out, hold on. Where did it go? Here it is. Okay. Eric Rader Eric Rader was in Los Angeles out doing some flyering, and he ran into a local business person and was educating him on like what Scientology is, which is just down the road.
Part of North Hollywood. They're trying to recruit 100% lies. They say they're trying to recruit Latinos by saying it's bringing your kids for modeling, and it has nothing to do with modeling. They can't help you model. They can't do anything.
I always see you putting those signs up across the street. What is it?
I was born in Scientology. It's a cult. You know, there's one on Burbank right there.
Yeah. They always come try to hustle us.
It's child abuse, sexual abuse, human trafficking, elder abuse. They destroyed my family. They disconnect you from everybody. They work you 120 hours a week for $47.
Shit.
They 80-year-old guys. They put you out there. What do you call that? The street clean.
Power wash.
Yeah, power. You know. And part of North Hollywood.
I mean, just letting them know, And the guy even had seen the flyers and stuff that he had put up. So that was super cool. And he's just letting people know what's up. That's such a big part of what the people live streaming and protesting are doing out there, which is great, is taking that time again and letting people know, hey, this is what Scientology is. This was my experience. I'm somebody who grew up in it. Like, you having those survivor stories and amplifying those voices is so important. Rick Ross, who's a cult expert, said when I had him on that is probably the most important thing to get out there are survivor stories, because not only does it communicate and reach current Scientologists if they expose themselves to it, because they've seen the outpoints, they've seen things they disagree with. And then here's someone coming and going, hey, I saw it too. I see it too. You aren't alone. We know this isn't okay. It doesn't feel right because it's not right. There should not be this level of control in your life. Nobody has a right to tell you who you can speak to, who you can't speak to. They don't. And that is a huge thing that Scientology and cults try to control. Oh, you can't be over here talking to this person. It's like, what does it matter? Mind your own business. Stay in your lane. But Scientology can't, because they have to break up any relationship that they see as a threat to Scientology. Julia, you got to visit Hawaii. Absolutely. It is so worth it. It's very magical. Very magical. It really is. Okay, here, I'm going to go. And did I grab my start? Yeah. Oh, Dusty is saying all day. So the Lisa McPherson memorial or vigil that they're going to do is this Thursday in Clearwater at her brick, and it's going to be all day. Thank you so much for that, Dusty. I'm glad you let us know. Enrica, Mr. Potato Ted, Ted from the Hollywood Testing Center. Oh, that's funny. Mock, well said. Survivors speak their language and undermine the infallibility of the doctrine. That's so true. And a big reason why I decided to come on YouTube and do this is I was reminded of how much I was helped by survivor stories when I wanted to leave Scientology, when I was leaving Scientology, in helping to get my family out of Scientology. Survivor stories played such a key and important role in that. So I appreciate all of you that, you know, whether it's my channel or other channels, you know, watch the videos, elevate those voices, get those stories out there, because that really is what makes an impact. And put that in contrast to what's happening right now with it's the holidays. It should be a joyful time. Not a lot of joy. I mean, we looked at Winter Wonderland and a couple of Grinches that they have over there, and we can see that is not going in a direction of, you know, yay for the holidays. It's not. It's just not. Okay, everybody. Hit that like, hit subscribe, but most of all, get out there and have an amazing cult-free